Major
Hey
time.
Jen, how are you today?
Hi, Andrew. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, fantastic. This is our first episode uh, apart, um, not sitting in the same room, not sitting in the same coffee shop, separated by a few states.
Yeah, it's weird.
States of America, that is.
Separated by many states of mine.
Yes. So we just finished, all of us just finished here in America celebrating Thanksgiving. How was that for you?
It was good. For the first time in I don't know how long, many years, it was just the five of us being my family that lives under my roof, and having an older teenager and young kids who are always going. We rarely sit down for a meal together all at the same time. Usually we're eating on the go, or someone's not here, someone shows up late, and it was a great meal, which I think sharing meals with people that you love is very important for connection. So yeah, it was great. I cooked the traditional meal. It was good. It was really nice just being with the five of my family.
Nice. Was any perspectives about um, or change in perspectives about sitting down to a meal together or having the family together that maybe you want to add on to, like continue that tradition outside of just once a year Thanksgiving or Christmas if you celebrate?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing for me was, since we haven't done this in a while, a couple of
Done
devices.
the turkey.
Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
yeah, we had my husband smoked a turkey, and I made grandma's uh, old traditional uh, southern casserole dish of pineapple casserole. Yeah, it's kind of like a
Hmm.
dessert, but yeah, I
Yeah.
think the biggest thing for me was realizing when we sat down, a couple of devices made their way to the table, and I drew a hard line and was like, no, no phones in the dining room while we're having dinner. And of everything that I took away from that, that's going to be the biggest that we hold on to.
Right. I think, I mean, that's a big thing. We've talked about that before, just in our daily lives about, enjoying that moment, starting like sitting and taking a cup of coffee without scrolling through your email or, through the daily news. And like, I think taking that's a big thing for me. I won't take my meals with the device, like even TV on the background. Well, I don't even own a TV, but like having a TV or having something other than just simply music. That's it. But I won't have anything that kind of overly stimulates me. And I think that's important from like a family dynamic situation where you sit down, you want to enjoy each other's company. I mean, whether you want to or not. Um, I mean, your results may vary, but um, I think that's important. So I think it's a good thing to kind of uh, instill that, like, hey, remove the devices from the table, but also continue the ritual of eating together
Yeah,
because it creates community, right? And
absolutely.
having communities that I think important. And I think you have young kids, like instilling that in them. Being able to sit down at a table and share your life over food is, I think, is one of those great gifts we have as civilization. Being able to
Mhm.
sit there and do that.
I think we just don't do that enough. And
No, which is the perfect segue because we don't have enough time in our lives to sit
yeah,
and eat a meal with another human being, right? We'll
yeah,
sit and eat in the car or
yeah. Like planning, and like I went back, and 10 years when my youngest is out the door, thinking, wow, we missed a lot of opportunity to get to know each other because we didn't just stop and, I mean, just enjoy our food made or bought that put the health wise of speeding through things like eating your food. But yeah, just I would hate to look back and say we had all that time over dinner, over a meal that we could have shared. And
Right.
Too
I
busy to
mean,
do it.
yeah, it's just like there's just so much involved in that for me. It's like we've talked about before about the kind of the spiritual aspects of cooking. So if you can cook together as a family and also eat together, there is kind of like this thing of understanding what it takes to put food together and what it takes to sit and eat together. And I think those are important parts of any relationship, whether it be parent and child, or your significant other, or however that is, your parents, however you want to do that. I think that's important, and we don't want to lose that tradition. And also, to your thing, we don't want to have regrets, and that's kind of been a big thing on my mind over the last couple of days, is about time. I'm a big thinker of time and not wasting it, and time's important to me. And I think a few weeks ago we talked about the four parts of a life, where time is like the first part of your life, you're learning, growing. Second part of your life, you're earning, you're creating. The third part of your life, you're giving back. And the last part of your life, you're creating that space to to pass on and go through the dying process. Not that I'm thinking about any of those things individually, but I think it's important to understand that um, in this modern world we live in, we feel like time is money,
Mhm.
right? And we hear that a lot in business, right? Like we've both worked in professional environments. Like if you're not being productive, we're losing money.
Yeah.
And I think here in America, particularly, I mean, that's we think about that a lot, and so we overexert ourselves. We work probably more than we need to, because we feel like we've got to earn a bunch of money to fill in the blank. I don't know what that is, right? Like pay for vacations, put kids through school, buy a cool car, whatever that is, right? And is time really money? I already know my answer to it, but I'll ask you: is time money to you?
I mean, time is invaluable because one, it's not guaranteed, and two, I mean, it's so short and fleeting.
Right.
I don't think
You
you can
can't
put
buy
a
time
dollar
back,
sign.
right?
Yeah.
You can't buy time back. I just remember years ago hearing some money guru guy saying, it's like, oh, if you could save $100 if you drove from Atlanta to Birmingham and took a flight out of Birmingham to go to whatever, New York. And I'm like, but my time's worth something. So I have to drive to Birmingham, which is, I don't even know what it is, an hour and a half, maybe less than that. But still, there's time spent wasted there. Is it worth $100? I don't know. Probably to me, it's not, because my time's worth something else. Um, and I think we kind of take that apart. So thinking about that time and money, um, if we boiled it down to the idea that every minute was worth a single U.S. dollar, every minute of our life is worth $1. Would you use time the same way? And so I did kind of some quick numbers. I wrote a little blog post about it on and posted it up on Medium. But I kind of ran the numbers, and just bear with me here. The average lifespan of American is 76 years. And if we took that into minute form, that's just under about 40 million minutes. So if we turn that into dollars, the average lifetime is $40 million if we thought about a minute as a dollar.
Yeah.
I mean, and when we think about it, like, oh, that's a lot. That's a lot of minutes. That's a lot of dollars, right?
Yeah.
But then if we broke it down into smaller parts and we said, okay, well, that turns into 1,440 minutes or dollars a day, and we were told to spend that 1,440 and every day. How would you spend it, and how are you spending it?
Mm.
So, I kind of continued to run the numbers for a bit, and I was like, okay, let me say I found a rerun of my favorite Office episode, and I watched that, and that cost me $22, right? So that's no commercials because I'm streaming it, right? If it was
Right.
commercials, it probably cost more. So that's $22 or 22 minutes, and then like maybe I spent 2 hours, driving driving to and from work. That's 120 minutes, $120. So I'm already in the hole, $142. And I haven't really done anything.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say I do go work an 8-hour job or whatever, and I sleep 8 hours a day. That's 16 hours, right? So it's all starting to add up where 1440 at the end of the day is not a whole lot,
Right.
but it's just what we're given. And to me, it helps me put into perspective, like, what am I doing with my time? What do you think about that?
Does it give you anxiety to think about how you wasted so much time, and not just you, it does me. Okay, it gives me
Well, I mean,
anxiety.
it gives me a bit of anxiety, but I think it's also a motivator for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've always been a guy that's not a big fan of sitting around. I haven't owned a TV since I've actually never personally bought a TV. I had a TV growing up, and when I went off to college, I didn't have a TV, and I was like this weird dude, that lived in the dorm that didn't have a TV, and they're like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Well, I didn't come here to watch TV.
I don't have
I
time.
came here to like experience all this stuff." And so, don't get me wrong. I spent my fair share of, sharing time with other people playing video games in their room,
Mhm.
but, and it was, to me, it was more like a community thing. So I've never been much of a guy that sits around and is not working on something. So yeah, it from an end of life scenario, like I'm thinking about, oh, well, I want to make sure that I do all the things that I do before, or I want to do before the end comes. So I want to be as productive as possible.
Mm.
Does that resonate with you?
It does. It does. When I think of my time as, 1440 dollars a day or minutes a day, it really makes you want to take a good hard look at things like just mindlessly scrolling on the internet on my phone. Um, or am I making a life? Am I living my life in every moment out of this little bit of time I have? And to me, that is not just for myself and doing care things that keep me functioning as a human, but the time spent with the people who are really important to me. You definitely stated
Yeah,
something.
and I mean, I want to just put like this little caveat in there that's like, if you enjoy working 12, 14, 18 hours a day, and that makes you happy, or you enjoy streaming endless shows of reruns of The Office, and no, and it's not a judgment thing. If that's something that makes you happy, and you derive pleasure from that, that's fantastic. Like, that's your thing. Like, um there's nothing wrong with that. But if it becomes a point where it's like you use it as an excuse to say, I don't have time to do something else, when it comes across like, like if somebody asked you, a complete stranger came to you, like, give me two things you want to do before your life ends, and you'd be like, oh, I want to go sail around the world, and oh, I want to whatever, give me another example, like learn yoga. Okay, right? It's something, there's one
Master
that's really
yoga.
big, and one big pie in the sky, and one is maybe attainable, right? Um, and they say, okay, well, why don't you do that? And you say, well, I don't have time. Now, that's not an excuse in my mind. Like, if you're sitting around, doling your day off, streaming through TikTok, is that a good use of your time when you could possibly be taking small steps towards learning yoga? And I'm not saying becoming a master, just going and working on it.
Yeah,
So
I think the consistent message conversations, the time suck that happens staring at a screen. It, it, I don't know. I have But really, I mean, there's not a lot of
Well, I mean, I think there's been a lot of staring at screens for multiple generations. So it's not just, we can't just say, hey, you know, the cell phone is, or the laptop or whatever it is, the root of all evil, because before that it was a television.
yeah.
And that's been around for decades, you know. And you know, with that, we're kind of amusing ourselves to death. You know, it's like, it's fun to have fun, and I want to be constantly stimulated, so you're kind of hooked on that.
Yeah.
But we can't, you know, we've got to sever that. We've got to disconnect that. And as I was kind of going through writing this article, I ran across the top 3 things that people say to their hospice care worker or their nurse when they're dying. And one of them is, I wish I lived for myself more. Number 2, I wish I didn't work so hard. And number 3 is, I wish I didn't hold back my feelings.
Hmm.
And I mean, like this, like, that's heavy shit. You know, like that's some heavy stuff, because when my father passed away, I was fortunate enough to have that moment when he was dying to go visit him. And he would say stuff to me. He said stuff very similar to me, of that to me. And I was like, I was blown away. And I think you know, I've said it before on these episodes, that was a great gift for me to hear that from my own father. Because he was that guy that would watch, you know, professional football on Sundays and spend a few hours watching that. And he said to me in during those times, he's like, I wish I hadn't spent those times watching that. I wish I'd spent more time with my children,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that really resonated with me. And it's sad that, I think you and I talked about it, like almost 75% of people who are at the end of life say those things, say those 3 things. 75%.
I would argue that the other 25% didn't have the opportunity to say.
Yeah. You may be right. I mean, but that's, you know, so then I've, over the last couple of days, you know, I threw this conversation at you, through this topic before we showed up here at you, and I've been like ruminating on it a bit and thinking about, you know, what have I done in my life, and not so much like accomplishments, but like, do I have those same regrets?
Yeah. How have I spent my time? And
Right. And you know, let's back up a little bit. You know, I understand that we all need to make money and do these things. We all can't just go out and, you know, gallivant and shoot off to a place that has a bunch of water in it and just think about, you know, like writing and all that stuff, and thinking about the universe and staring at our navels. You know, we have to make a living, and we have to do those things. But can we do those and fulfill our lives with other
yeah,
things? Can we? I think we can.
I think it's important to, you know, are you living to work or working to live?
Yeah.
The mindset is.
Yeah. You and I've talked about that many times before.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, here in the States, we have this different idea that, you know, it's like bust your ass all the time. And if you're not busting your ass, and, you know, then you're not really living.
So what would you say to, like, how do you break it down to, like, you just, how are you spending your time? Like, take a budget of your time and how are you spending it, and
Yeah, that's what I'm saying with the 1440.
yeah, make the changes now
Right.
that you can.
I mean, you know, I think that's the thing, is you have to, you know, if you started a list of things that you regret right now in your life, I'm sure you could come up with a few. I can come up with a few. There's probably things that I've never said to, I never got the chance to say to somebody, feelings that I didn't get to articulate face to face with somebody that maybe I should have. That's kind of a regret. That person, those people still live, and these are good things. The look on your face is like, who wants to rip somebody? No, I don't want to rip somebody. I mean, I want to see something genuine and thought out that I maybe didn't think at the time. I hadn't thought out completely at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so in my mind, that's a regret. And fortunately, those people are still alive. So I could resolve that issue. I could, I'm not saying I would get the closure that I think I need or anything like that, but I have that opportunity, right? I could do
Mm-hmm.
that. A thing like, hey, I wanted to learn to be a glass blower. Like I regret not doing that, which I don't, but I understand that people do. Um, I could go do that. I could start today and go do that and work towards that in small steps. I could go if I was somebody's listening and they say, "Hey, I want to learn yoga." You can start that today. You have control over that, so you can disconnect that thought,
Mm-hmm.
and not get to the point right before it ends and go, "Man, I really wish I'd fill in the blank."
Yeah. Something we haven't done on the podcast in a while is kind of in or kind of a charge after hearing this and absorbing, some of the ideas that like maybe take.
Hmm.
Summer starts tomorrow. I think the new month starts tomorrow. So I've been listening to this a lot. Doing a digital detox for the month, and in that, I hope to of the things I wish I had handled before now, or so
Yeah,
that's
I
the
second that emotion. I mean, I'm trying to get back into that mindset myself of turning off my device and going, while I'm down here, kind of reconnecting to that ritual, saying, okay, I don't need this device. I can witness the world better when I'm out on foot walking around without having. Let me go take a picture of that. Like none of that. Just leave the device at home if I can.
yeah.
Turn it off. Said it a million times. There's something very cathartic about pressing on my phone and being like, "I'll see you guys later." Right?
Yeah.
Um,
I know. I tried to get in
I-
touch with you yesterday, and you were unreachable. But it was fine because I knew that about you. I didn't get a response from you. It wasn't urgent. I just knew he'll respond to it when he is in front of his phone.
right.
So it kind of triggered a thought. I've done that in a while, so that's what I'm doing for this
I think
month.
that's great. So I want to action item one is turn off your phone for you pick the duration. And I don't mean while you sleep. While you're awake and conscious. I mean, I turn off my phone at night too, and that's probably a bad habit, but my phone is also always on silent, even when it's on. Um, but I think, yeah, action item one, per gen, digital detox, turn it off for an extended period of time. And I know there's a few apps out there that you can put on your device that will block anything that's non-essential. Like, you won't get a notification from Facebook or Instagram, or if you're on dating apps, anything like that. It won't give you. You can like block it out and you can say, I'm only getting important phone calls for this duration. But if not,
Oh,
turn it off and see how that feels. Action item number two via me, Andrew, is I'm stealing this from Dr. Michael Gervais, talking about when you see somebody, when you're like, hanging out with them and you're going to leave, take the moment to say goodbye in a way that expresses gratitude, almost like that you would never see them again. You know, start small, and I'm not saying it's like you have to be kind of end of world type things, but just take that moment and go, hey, we spent some time together. It felt good, and you can start small. You can go to your coffee shop. Your barista just made you a cup of coffee, and you're like, hey man, I really appreciate you. Thanks so much. You're the best. Have a great day. Like take that moment just to be engaged with that person, express gratitude, with them in that moment, and then slowly maybe start building that up to other deeper relationships, maybe even more troubling relationships, stuff that gives you some anxiety. But take that moment to say, hey, I really appreciate this time we had together. And I think a good way to not only kind of negate three of those or two of those three negative feelings at the end of life is like, I wish I didn't hold back my feelings. And I wish I lived more for myself. Like taking that moment going, hey, Jen, you're the best. I appreciate you. Like this time together is awesome. It really helps me. And I think it helps other people like think about things differently. So I really appreciate that. That's what I'm talking about. So two things,
Two
detox
action items.
and gratitude. What do you think?
Grateful goodbyes. I like it.
Grateful goodbyes. That's it. Digital detox and grateful goodbyes. I think we should probably do a social post about that.
I love it. I am on that because I think we're about to hang up from this call. I am really grateful that you and I have made this space and continue to have these conversations.
Right on.
Somehow seem to be circling around death, but that's fine.
Well, I think that's a different conversation. Death, it's not so much, it's about impermanence. Impermanence. And then so if we can be present in the moment, we'll be much more fulfilled throughout our lives. And think about your 1440. I know I don't want to put too much homework on the plate, but 1440 a day, maybe write down how you're spending your time. Get out your calculator, your pocket calculator.
It's on my phone.
You're a real operator with your pocket calculator.
I like it. All right. I can't wait to touch base with you on this again.
All right. Hey, I really appreciate you. Thank you for your time today. You're the best.
No, you are.
Namaste. Thanks for listening.